today is the appointed day, the day when we're going to finally take out Medjet, or more specifically, we're going to rely on somebody else to do all the heavy lifting, as always.
Yes, of course.
It's like the Phantom Thieves. I mean, to be fair, like, it can only do so much in this circumstance. But God, just like thinking about everything, you know, especially with the way they just straight up spoil how everything works, which they are going to be doing in this episode once again. It's like the characters don't have very complex motivations. The villains certainly don't have very complex motivations. We're just we even know exactly what's going to happen. There's no mystery, and you don't even, the characters never even do anything clever. They just wait around until, you know, Futaba fixes their mistakes, or Makoto, or Nakanohara, even in the past. It's like, God, this game is so boring in storytelling.
Well, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, and really, like, the fact that you got to establish that, okay, well, today's the day that we're going to go after Medjet. Why even put that delay in there? Like, what kind of, you ever see a movie where it's just like a non-stop clusterfuck after they've established something? Like, okay, now we've got to go after the villain. They don't just wait around for 4 weeks. I guess The Godfather, he goes to Sicily for, like, several months.
I've never seen The Godfather.
Okay, fair enough.
I hear it's one of the greats of cinema.
Yeah, truly.
Is this true?
Mm-hmm. Yes. That classic, you know, Michael Corleone, great character, in my opinion.
Morgana, have you not paid attention to anything that's happened in the entire last dungeon? I wait a second. In light of this, everything that we have learned up until this point has changed.
This is the first very funny line, and you know, I have some doubts about the suicide, and then Morgana's like, "Was she killed?"
What? This is the first I'm hearing about. I guess this is my result of not actually using Morgana in the party. Let's all ignore that he was in each one of the cutscenes, but you know,
just not paying attention. Just. That's understandable. I probably wouldn't have paid much attention either.
I have to, so unfortunately I only know too well what's been happening. I don't remember what happened in the dungeon. Weren't you guys just talking about pressing a button most of the time? That's all I really remember.
I want to point out that anytime the writing is even remotely decent as it is with like Sakura's speech here, it's because he's monologuing, because there just aren't enough interesting characters. It's very unlikely that you'll have a good character talking to another good character. They're just like, oh, just let's hire one competent writer to do this monologue.
Yeah, and then with of course just main character staring blankly forward the entire time.
Yeah. Like there's nothing we can do about that.
Hey, Futaba's back. Which is good because we didn't really have any other alternatives. Although once again, it's like we're not even entirely sure what Medjet is supposed to be doing, but whatever. Look, it's bad. This is again the whole thing where it's like they really have a hard time actually showing the people who are affected by the villains most of the time. Yeah. Like Nakanohara Mishima was actually pretty good. It's weird to think that I keep going back to the very first arc, the Kamoshida arc of the storyline, but it's like that one is probably the most competently written. You had like Mishima to really show the reign of terror that Kamoshida left on the students. You had like they didn't actually understand how their superpowers work, so it made sense that they didn't want to immediately jump into the palace and try to make that work for them. It's like so many things like that.
Just the little things that they just, details that they just absolutely don't do after that.
They just, like, over time, they're just like, whatever.
Medjet. Now, how do we cook them?
I mean, you're the hacker here.
Yeah.
Just, you know, slam on your keyboard loudly until everything is solved. If maybe you can get a second person on the keyboard like that one scene in NCIS. Still an absolutely classic. Oh, right. She doesn't know about this yet. That's a thing. Don't worry about it.
You're just imagining it.
Look, we could explain stuff, but you'll get like 10 different explanations later on.
Just hacker girl, do your hacking. We'll tell you later why you're doing it.
Slam your hands on the keyboard. Just do it. Look, as you can see, there's scrolling text. It's all matrix green. This is hacking.
Just imagine somebody who's just been like, you know, in their room there for months, and they're just like, they hear this cat
for 24
talking,
months.
It's like, well, now I know I'm on the right track. I'm definitely doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, certainly if this was Alice in Wonderland, as we all know, I'm kind of surprised they went with this here. Just like, hey, finally, this is surprisingly nice. This is what I would do in this situation, sure.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just thought that they were going to keep the trash den the entire time.
Why does this cat insist on talking? He knows it's disruptive.
I guess we'll have to keep waiting. The Persona 5 story.
Well, at least what we'll get when it's done is valuable.
Yes.
Stop talking, Morgana. God damn it.
This is the most important target that we've gone after in the history of the game. Now it's actually going to make sense that, after Medjet has been defeated, it's like basically international renown. They were threatening the entire country, after all.
Yeah.
With what? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
Something about banks. Mm-hmm. I am shocked that she is just totally accepting of that.
Yeah.
It's like, I would think that it's just like, no, now I can't find any of my stuff.
Yeah. I like
that is, again, how I would react, but I would also try cleaning it up in the first place.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is never clone me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be very upset. Probably not just about that. But
this is riveting storytelling. We're just going from place to place for having people explain things to us.
And I'm back to, well, yeah. I said before that it's like the main characters never do any of the heavy lifting unless it has to do with palaces, and even then they really try to avoid it.
This is one of my favorite parts here.
What?
We'll get to it.
I don't even know why it's like, yeah, I'm back. I'm just like, this is plot relevant, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really not.
Why don't we all watch the news together? Like, let's see if this is anything has happened. Well, we better watch the news. Let's check that out. We all have smartphones, but let's wait until the next nightly news broadcast, and let's all watch it together.
Well, this is a guy who uses a DVD player and orders stuff through like the home shopping network, and but yeah, it's like that's
classic teenager behavior, especially intrepid teenagers who are going on adventures. Just to like, let's wait until the news tomorrow, you guys. Let's just wait until Tom broke off.
Yeah, can go. Oh, here we go. Hey, we did it, I guess.
Somebody.
All right, so at least it's clear who did it. So, by the way, who was Medjet? Who were these people who were threatening us this entire time? I don't know, some guy. just said Japanese man. We might have done something. Who cares? Next plot.
Now, some speculate that they have taken this series of events seriously and ultimately canceled the plan. Hooray! We did it!
We did
it!
You guys all we did what? Stopped them? We stopped who? Who cares? Just move on to the next plot line.
Is it really? Is that it? Is that it for Medjet?
That's it for Medjet. Basically, I don't like. It just, yeah.
That all that build up, and it's just Futaba sitting at the computer doing some Matrix shit for 2 minutes.
Which, I mean, that's how you do hacking. I've said this before over the course of this entire plot line, where it's just like there are good movies that portray hacking in this way.
Yes. Like the Matrix.
It's like, yeah, the fact that there's no payoff here, it's just like, some guy got arrested and nothing happened.
Yeah, this feels like business. Oh, we lost that contract. Oh, that's too bad. Anyway, what are we gonna deal with next?
It doesn't matter. I mean, after all, the real storyline was understanding Futaba and her struggle.
Yeah.
Now, please ignore all of the times, all of the many, many, many IM conversations and real-life conversations and obsessing about what we're going to do about Medjet and everything like that.
Yep.
That's all irrelevant.
He just did it. Like, same with that abusive...
There's probably like a full hour plus that you could grab out of each one of these episodes of us just like watching them be like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
But no, that's all irrelevant.
The fact that there were no damages due to the hacker's actions. Otherwise, we don't have to animate anything. We don't have to like follow up on this. It's just Shido is.
They showed a picture of Medjet on the TV and said everything's fine now.
Yeah, the Phantom Thieves, like, they're the real enemy, and I'm the real hero. And
yeah, why are they the real enemy? Also, what?
I think they changed the heart of some gym teacher like 6 months ago.
And their picture showed up on the website, and nothing happened. So I guess they. Shido, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're supposed to be the villain, yeah, but like, what? This is the most threatening thing I've seen somebody talk about on television.
Yeah, this politician seems quite promising. Yeah, I think he's going to become quite prominent quite soon.
Yeah, really.
I hope he can work the easy.
This is like
that's like that
last time parody level of dialogue.
That's like that Mr. Show thing, the pre-tape Collins show, where they're like, yeah,
Mr. Show sketch.
What was that?
Mr. Show sketch. Put it on your bingo card.
Yes. Where they're just like, well, now we'll be talking about the elderly.
And here we are back on this whole thing.
So the Phantom Thieves only stole.
Well, yeah, we weren't going to steal it from nameless guy.
Like, just
from some Japanese man.
Just in case you didn't understand that this is the end of Medjet, we're just making it absolutely clear.
Yes.
Also, in case you didn't see that part where we obviously insinuated that a third party targeted this character.
Where we literally had characters in black suits come out and be like, we killed her.
Oh, by the way, something we had discussed, and I kind of just mentally had missed this when I read the script. This is 2 years ago from where we are in the future. So. Yep. So what Sakura said about having that thing every year on the anniversary of her death doesn't make any sense, because at most that has happened one more time.
Yep.
Maybe
no,
two.
Or the way. I mean, only one character ever actually references when that was taking place, and that's Sai right now. I think it's like, but it's just like, yeah.
You would be forgiven for thinking that was when she was a small child, because that's what everything about that suggested. The whole dive into her psychology, as if that happened.
Yeah, like all of her basic the scenes we saw in the palace seem to imply that she was a small child, being like, "Oh, Mama, I want to go on a vacation." No, that was when she was like 15 years old. All that everything about Sakura talking like everything about Sakura talking like, oh, it must have been so hard for her to balance her work and raising a child for the past 15 years. Which is it's like, oh, it must have been so difficult, especially now that Futaba was going to start getting a part-time job and be out of the house more often.
Yeah. And also, I just love that we're just getting the next villain now. We've wrapped up.
No, just remember how it's like there was at least some mystery as to how what we don't even know who Medjet was, and it's like now we're just back to the regular villain again. Not that it mattered anyway, because it's like, who was Medjet? Some guy.
And we just don't even need to go back to that. That we're done with Medjet.
It's like, yeah,
that's so wild.
Yeah, it's just that's it.
Like
It's like the missing assembly all over.
Yeah,
again.
I was just gonna bring that up because it's like we were talking about that, and I think people were like, "It's kind of, it is kind of a small thing." It is a small thing, but they built up to it like it was meaningful.
And here they built up to it way harder, and it's like we don't even know exactly what they were going to do, or if they even had the capability to do it. Certainly, everybody in the entire country was worried about it, but
To the point where everything else that these characters were doing had to be like, had to be put on the back burner because it was so important that we figure out
That's
what
not
to
true
do
at all.
with Medjet. Well, I mean, other than like the social link, so that's what we were. This is the main plot, and we were
going around stalking weirdos in the planetarium. Don't you remember that?
Oh, I know. I mean, but I'm saying like the main plot. We were like, well, it's 4 days until the Medjet thing. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then, I mean, of course, they did
but it's
nothing.
just-
They did nothing, and it was
Don't
fine.
do anything anyway.
I know, but they were talking about it a lot.
It's just like yeah, it seemed like their attention was entirely focused on that. Yeah, but they don't actually do anything like this. Like they were basically coerced into doing this by some Japanese guy, and like in the last plot, they were coerced into it by Makoto. In the previous plot, it took like 4 different people, them being informed by Nakanohara in Mementos, them having like the post on the website, just completely separately from anything else, meeting up with Yusuke, and then they got in the palace and they were still like maybe, and then Nakanohara met up with him in real life, and then they decided that they were going to do something about Madarame. It's like every single plot line, they don't do anything. So it's like we could look at it from the perspective of, oh yeah. I mean, it's like this was taking up their full obsession. They couldn't they were completely unable to focus on any other targets with this sort of thing going on, but they wouldn't do it anyway. They've never done that.
Also, yeah, they were never a threat at all, and I'm also the founder. Oh,
Wow, you didn't know? You don't say.
Yeah.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Wait. So that whole thing where Alibaba was completely different from Medjet, that wasn't true? What? What? I'm trying not to do that incredulous sound, but God.
Why aren't people doing the same thing with Vanities then? Also, it's like it's not like how they do in the real world. But whatever.
So
So it was all pointless, even more pointless than what we were saying before.
There was no
I'm not
payoff.
even entirely sure. They never really established Medjet as a threat in the first place.
Well, they were causing this psychotic breakdowns.
Oh, thank God.
I mean,
that means that our main plot line is finally over, I guess.
well, our main rivals are. So this is classic like princess in another castle thing. Except, it turns out the princess wasn't actually a princess. She was just some guy in Japan.
Yeah, there's some Japanese guy.
Not even a threat.
Was he a threat? It's not even clear.
So apparently he's not a real threat though. Like that's what they're saying. Like the Medjet members in Japan weren't a real threat. So why are they on the news every day?
Because I don't know. There's no explanation. It's because I guess in this world everybody freaks out for months at a time anytime anybody threatens anything on the internet.
Yeah. And it's like
That's why they have to do things like watch the nightly news and whatever, because everybody's afraid to go online.
Yeah. Also, I like that
Because it's just like
it's like an event for teenagers to come together and watch the nightly news together. I just love that. That's just like, yeah, that's classic behavior.
yeah, they meet up at the local coffee shop and we all sit down and watch the one TV that the entire neighborhood worked together to buy. Also this whole thing where it's just like they can't even talk to Futaba as a normal person. They have to refer to her in the third person.
Yeah,
She's sitting right there. That's some
So
good
when
stuff.
I was reading this transcript, I kind of thought she was out of the room when they were saying this, but no, they're just doing this childish thing. Like,
And they're teenagers, so that's that.
yeah, it's not like unrealistic.
Man, when I saw that, I mean, it's just like, okay, yeah, Futaba being related in some way anyway at all.
What is this line?
Oh, I missed that one? You say there's a choice, but I'm seeing a pattern of only one option. Okay, anyway. That's what she says.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, the whole thing about like Futaba being the actual creator of Medjet. It's just like, that could have been kind of interesting if it's just like, oh yeah, there was no Medjet. I was the one threatening people the entire time.
Yeah, that would have been that would have been interesting because it's like now she's got some complexity of character, and instead of just being like geek girl,
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, that's some real bona fides with hacking, where it's just like you can threaten the entire country just to try and get like the attention of this otherwise like largely unknown group of people or something like that. Where it's just like, she's supposed to be a super hacker in that way. And when I was originally looking through that, I was kind of like half paying attention because I had been recording for like 2 hours.
Also,
and I wasn't really seeing it. And I'm just like, that's what I thought was actually happening. And I'm like, oh, that's contrived. That it's just like, of course, the people that found, of course, her being the founder of Medjet. So it's like, why it's. Yeah, yeah, but it's just like, oh, if she just manufactured the entire threat here just to get the Phantom Thieves to help her, it's just like that would be that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
something.
Yeah, that's like a Moriarty kind of thing. Like that's a villainous thing, but it's like, hey, you know what? That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's.
It would be depth.
No,
it would be depth.
But that's not what happened.
And they don't want that. And yeah, and look again, like Goro is another reasonably competently written character, and then they just have him talking to Sai because Sai is just generic.
She's a bad person. Also, it's just like for the sake of your own justice. In what way? What does this have to do with justice?
Well,
they hacked the website,
if
basically.
If he was talking to a competently written character, they might actually ask that. Instead, we just get this monologue by the one competent writer on their staff, whoever that is.
Would they have been massive?
We don't know that. Yeah, she said it was not a threat. The person who would know best, the founder of Medjet, said it was not.
They were weak. They were weak hackers, but it's just like, and they were gonna do something with banks. Did they even have that capability?
Didn't you say we weren't gonna be translating these IM conversations anymore?
This is supposed to be like a plot relevant one, right?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
It's like if it's hugely plot relevant, it's clearly not.
Yeah, well, it's weird because it's like it makes it sound like it is. Like all the people are talking like it's important, but it's not.
Oh yeah, they did do that stuff though, right? No, that was totally separate. Oh, okay. What?
Just trying to kill any enthusiasm.
So did anything happen? Well, the Phantom Thieves got a lot more famous from this anyway. The plot will continue on regardless of what actually happens in the storyline. Never forget that.
This was actually realistic dialogue with a geek.
Yeah, Yusuke, quit being an asshole. Oh my god. Once again, Makoto remains the only person that is, even somewhat competent and talk to other people. It's fucking clowns. Yusuke.
It's gonna be a lot of work.
Sure is gonna be a lot of work.
Like, it's probably gonna take us a whole month.
Yeah.
Again, third competent character. This is actually surprising.
Misha was so excited. Little does he know that it's just like nothing was actually going to happen. Apparently, there was no actual threat or anything, and even if there was, it's super not clear. Whatever. Yeah. But hey, I mean, it's like everybody was worried about this, so it's like again, the vanities will become more popular.
I love that. How enthusiastic Mishima is. He's like, everyone else is just like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, hey, you guys, I saw what you did on the news. That's really swell. We're going to have the highest numbers of in our entire existence. It's great.